Welcome back to another construct video, and in this video we're trying something a little bit different. You can see at the top left of my screen I've loaded up Construct Classic. Now I've never used anything but Construct Free, and when I saw you could still download this I was really curious to see how far Construct's changed. Because I know sometimes the community does feel that Construct is behind the other game engines, but I do think Construct has come a long way and the developers are doing a really good job at implementing new stuff. So I thought, why don't we look at the first ever construct and see what's changed? And can I make a game inside of this engine? So I've had a little bit of play around already, just around the menus and just to make sure it's working, but I've not actually tried to put any objects or sprites in. So you can see that we've got projects, layout, objects, and events. And I actually need to do file, new, and a new application. So this is my starting grid for my game. What I'm noticing is there's no dotted lines for a camera, which is a little bit weird, but I have got the right click and I can insert a new object. So let's go through and let's see what our options are first of all. It's got arrays, buttons, combo boxes, edit boxes, files, and list box. So slightly more than Construct 3, I think, or just slightly renamed. Audio converter, lots of music options, lots of controls, including bar charts. So there seems to be more options available in Construct 3. But I do know a lot less about these options, such as File Spy. I think Construct 3 took a lot of these options and grouped them together. I do quite like the tabs, though, to allow you to search for certain ones. No idea why they're not coming up now, but the tabs are a nice touch. It's image list, mouse and keyboards. We've got other stuff as well. Where is a sprite? That's what I'm really after, is just my first sprite that I can put in. Now, I've had to look up a tutorial already to get me started, and apparently what I need is I need a new X direct game as opposed to an application. So let's try that again. Insert a new object, and this is what I'm more familiar with now. So we've got sprites, we've got mouse and keyboard, tile backgrounds. Good. So let's start with a sprite, insert and click, and we get our own little version of paint as normal. So let's see if I can do my little character that I normally put into my tutorial videos. So it's a rectangle tool. It's got quite a thick edge on it. The edge is black and that's it. And then we've got two eyes and mouth. A little bit quirky than what I normally do, but that will do. He looked like my sort of avatar. And I should be able to bucket now, flood fill. Oh, I can do it that way. Why can't I do it with the purple that I've selected, please? This feels like so much work compared to using normal construct. We've got image points, hotspots. All the other tools seem to be there. We've got a color replacer, which is nice, which is sort of mounted into the bucket tool. But why can't I fill in? Let's try fill in another color. Okay, for some reason it just doesn't want me to use the purple. There we go. That was strange. And I'm guessing we still hit the X. Do you want to save the changes? Yes. There we go. So I've got my first sprite in here. I think I'm going to go for a platform game. So let's resize this down. And let's move them to here. And let's create our second sprite. So for second sprite, I'm just going to create some ground really quick. Save, yes. Weird having the reminder to save. And in fact, I've not cropped this. So can we edit this now? Well, there's no. Forgot to edit on this side. What I'm noticing is there's lots of little things that just are stopping me from continuing. Just a double click. So, resize crop. And the auto crop's still there. That's always a feature I've really liked about Construct. And yes, I want to save my image. So let's resize this and stretch this across the level like so. Put our sprite on top. Now the big thing I'm looking for is behaviors, because behaviors do all the hard work for you. And while I've played around with other game engines, I'm not great at doing stuff like gravity and movement. So here's the way that we can add some behaviors. Add behavior, here we go, up here. So what have we got access to actually? So we've got 8 directions, bull, move the object like a bull, okay. Procedural animation, bullet, cars still in there, custom, drag and drop, fade, grid, line of sight, mouse physics, platform, rotate, RTS. That's an interesting one. So that's pathfinding. So it's what pathfinding's now become. A selection box. Okay, interesting one. Shaken objects, sign, timer, turret, and reps. There's definitely some missing. 1 or 2 new ones, but there's quite a lot missing still. So let's add the platform behavior. And then let's go to our ground, and I didn't see a solid behavior. Yeah, so no solid behavior. So let's see if we can find a way around that. Attribute solid. Okay, so solid is just an attribute. Platform, an obstacle for the platform behavior that can be jumped on. Okay, well, let's tick that on. So there's our platform behaviors. Okay, so let's look at those first, and then we'll look at the other bits I was going to look at. So allow a bunny hop. I'm really curious what that is. Allow down button. So to fall through platforms, inverse controls, choose which way gravity is. That's quite a nice feature. You can do that with events inside a construct, but having it just there is quite nice. Jump gravity, jump sustain. There's a lot more options here I'm noticing. And then control, having players as well. So some features I'm realizing would be quite nice to have. And what I was saying about the attributes is having this one. So destroy out of screen. Instead of having that as its own behavior, it's just an attribute, which is quite nice. So let's do our first tests. Let's run this layout and let's see what it looks like. There we go. After all the errors, we're up. Now I can move left and right. I can't jump. My character's stuck to the ground. Okay, let's do a bit of research to find out what's going on here. So let's look at our platform behaviors. So auto rotate, no thank you. Jump strength set to 800. Control player 1. Okay, no idea on that one. So let's insert a new object and let's get a keyboard and mouse in. And now let's see if we can go to the event sheet. So event sheet, let's add an event. Or not. So I don't know why I can't do anything there. Is there, that's my first layout. Okay, another thing that I might need to look up is actually how the event sheet works, because I can't seem to find a way to access the event sheets. I can't add an event. Hold on with me a minute. So it's down here at the bottom. So we've got the event sheet at the bottom as a tab. So right click to begin, insert an event, and this looks fairly similar. So what I'm going to do is just see if we can check if we click a button. So on key pressed. Oh, and let's change that to the spacebar if I can. And having to go through this as a big menu is a bit of a pain. So space and finished. And then what I want to do is see if I can make the player jump. So again, having these tabs are actually really, really nice, and why they're going to take a little while to learn, I can see how these could be really beneficial. I'm going to go to the platform tab as well. So having a separate tab for your behaviors is also really nice. And again, these have their own tabs on here as well. So movement and so many options. I feel like they've made Construct more simple and more accessible to more people. And I think actually an advanced editor would be really nice as an option to turn on that gives you all these different options on top. So can I make it jump? Jump, big option right there. Okay, so let's do another test and let's see if we can do it without a million problems happening this time. So antivirus, 1 error, 2 errors, and we can play. Good. So there we go, we can jump. We've got our platform character jumping. So we've got the first start. Now with this screen, it doesn't appear that I can resize this, which is a little bit of a pain. Not great, but it's something at least. The other thing though actually is this is offline, so I can actually save this and save files offline and not be affected by web crashes, which is something that I will give this credit for. So what's our layout properties? Height and width, application background, layout color, unbound scrolling. So pretty standard stuff there. So let's go back to our layout editor. And I'm working out what I want to do with this. I think I want to make some sort of dodging game where I've got to dodge stuff falling from the sky. So I'm going to insert a new object. I'm going to scroll down. Okay, I didn't see all these before. There's a lot of options here. 3D object and 3D box. Card game. Okay, I'm really intrigued by all these different options. Portal maths makes doing portal maths a lot easier. Okay, I'm very curious about what some of these are now. Tell you what, let's leave the 3D alone for today. Let's create a basic game. Let's go for very basic today. So let's go for a catching game. So I'm going to insert a new sprite. And I want something that I'm able to catch. And let's try using the brush tool. I'm just going to resize this window to make it a bit bigger. And there's no sort of maximize button, which is it's okay. Prefer it was on there, but not the end of the world. And let's catch some yellow coins. And what's really interesting actually is the oval tool goes from the corner. With construct 3, it goes from the center, which has always been a bit strange to me. So I'm going to grab that. Let's grab the brush and let's do a really bad pound sign. There we go. And yes, I will save that image. So I'm going to have one of these at the top here, and we'll put it there. And now we should do everything in our event sheet. In fact, I want to add a behavior to this, so I can't do it that way. I've got to go to, where is it? Behaviors, add behavior. So I want one that's just going to make it full. So maybe just the physics will do for now. And this should just fall from the sky. And now I can go to my event sheets and we can add an event, and now it does pop up. So let's check our system ones. What system options have we got? Can see a couple of new ones, but not too many. And I don't know if it's just the way it's laid out, but it feels like there's a lot less in terms of the sort of system conditions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do every X ticks. And can we do random numbers? Let's have a look. So what I'm going to do is random 0.5 to 2 seconds. It's not crashed it, so I'm guessing that's worked. And what we're going to do is get our system to create object. And, okay, so layout, X coordinate, Y coordinate, okay, makes sense. Now I've not tracked these Y coordinates yet, so let's Oh, it's moaning at me. I must put something in. Pick an object. This object, please. Okay, and what I'm going to do is go back to the level editor, take this one here, and I just want to get these starting coordinates on its x position. So it should be a common one, 38, and what I want is how wide this layout is. So this is as wide as set 650, 0 to 650, and I want to start at minus 26. So let's go back to this one. So the y is going to be minus 26, and the x, hopefully this works again, is going to be random between 0 and 650. Finish. Now what I want to do is add a new event to say if player is overlapping another object. And I'm going to pick the object to be sprite free. I think the weird thing is I want to pick it down here, but this is its own thing for some reason. Finished. We want to do sprite free and .destroy. If I can find the destroy option. We have got a search bar though, which is nice. So there we go. I'm going to destroy it, and then let's add one to score. So we need a variable for this. So have I got variables? I can't see an option for variables. I'll be shocked if variables aren't in here because it's a major part of programming. Just compare global variable. Okay, but how do I get a global variable? Okay, so it is on this side. So we've got our layers here. And we get the little image of what was on the layer, which is quite nice, the animator. And then it's down here, so we're on application 3 now. It took 3 attempts to get this far. And we've got global variables here. We can add a global variable. Very, very strange. We'll call this score. And okay. Now, one thing I noticed when trying to find all of this and find this option is if you go into the layout properties, there's all the standard options that we've got, some new ones, but actually we've got these controls for different players and a way to manage controls. And actually this is really, really nice. So when I've realized that shift has jumped for some reason, and actually I can just reassign these controls just through this window here. So again, really, really nice feature, and I do feel that this is missing because Construct is designed to be easier to use. They've definitely made some big improvements, but there's a couple of bits that I think they've oversimplified it and took away some of these more advanced features that would be nice, even if you had to click on an advanced section to get to it. Because I understand that it's not for everybody, these tools. So we've got our global variable added. We've now got score. We can now go back to our event sheets. And we can say sprite destroyed, and then we can add to our score by 1. So add a value, score by 1, finished. I also want some text to show our current score. Make this a full-fledged game, so let's see if we can add some text in. So there's our text there. And we've got some options, so we can align it center. We can change the font size. Fonts, I can't think of any fonts off the top of my head. In fact, impact, there we go, we've got impact, yes. So we have to know the name of the fonts, which is a little bit of a pain. A drop down is much easier to understand, and obviously that's in the later version. Never mind, let's carry on. So let's start the score at 0, and in our event sheet, let's add an action, and let's set text to score. Now there's no auto text as well, which is something that you'll see in Construct 3. So again, that feature is quite missed, especially when you get stuff like this, scores not recognized. Okay, now I'm struggling. So, is there a get? Let's do global. Get global variable. So get global variable because I've added the old text on top, so it's not overridden it. Okay, that took far too long to get something quite simple to work. But we should have a finished game now. So let's run it once more. So run layout. Get rid of all my antivirus threats. And oh dear, that's not quite what I wanted. Why, somewhat satisfying. I don't think it's quite working quite right. I'm trying to work out how well this random's working and how well the physics is working to work out which one's the problem. Okay. Physics. Gravity, yes, there we go. That's what I must be missing. So getting around the windows is much harder. I will admit it is a bit more of a challenge to get around all these windows. Okay, now I've got to go through all this to run it. And again, if this is obviously something that you can figure out and get it so you don't get these errors each time, it's probably quite nice. Now, why this is quite a satisfying game, it's not what I set out to achieve, so it doesn't appear like it is being randomized whatsoever. They're also going too fast, so the randomizer is not working, so I need to work out how to get a random number, because what I'm doing is not working at the moment. So let's see if we can find a system expression to do this for us, because I think this is the way you've got to go about it. Generate a random number. Random 1.0. Does that mean between 1 and 0, or does that mean... Okay, can I see that again? What does that say? To generate a random number, there's no sort of guides on how to use these functions, or no sort of information. So let's just try 2 seconds and see if that gives us random 2. As for this one, we're going to get rid of this one here. Use system, get random, and this should be 650. Now, drawbacks of having to do it this way is you've got far less control and you can't use random and other stuff as well. So I'm glad that was changed. Okay. So the good news is it is now spreading across the whole thing, but we're also getting it raining constantly and really, really quickly. And again, weirdly satisfying, not what I was intended to do. And because I am trying out this new piece of software, it's not one that I'm going, oh, well, this worked in my benefit, I'm going to keep going. I want to get this as a working game and to prove that I can build something in Construct Classic and get used and see how hard it is. So let's get it working the way as it is intended. So I think this is it. It's every 2 ticks. Did every 60? If it's 60 frames a second, would that be equal to a second? Just want it to be much slower than it already is. In fact, before we do that, shall we just do it every X ticks? So yeah, sorry, it's every ticks, not every second. So that was something they changed where it's based on seconds instead of ticks. And once again, we're dealing with antivirus. There we go. And this is now working closest to the way I want it. It's still quite fast. I'll slow this down quite a bit. I'm actually tempted to take this concept of collecting these coins and maybe turn it into some game where you buy stuff, almost like a more interactive cookie clicker. That's something for another video. So let's slow this down once more. So instead of 60, let's up this to 180. There we go. That's a little bit closer than what I wanted. And I could change the speed of these to get it right. And this is just tinkering now. The game works as intended and what I was sort of aiming for this video. So this has been a really, really fun look into Construct Classic, and it's nice to see how far we've come, but also a little envious of some of the features that are in there. But if I had to choose between the two, I would still choose construct free. It's one that I'm more familiar with, but maybe I could get used to this. Maybe it's not too bad. So there's obviously some stuff that we haven't talked about, like camera movement, like how do we move and scale onto another camera, importing, putting monetization on, and all that stuff is still stuff that needs looking at. There's also some tools that are on here, such as transitions and families. So there's still lots to explore. So let me know if you've liked this different style of content. And if you want to see more stuff like this, maybe I can try and make another game in Construct Classic, find out what all these other options are. Maybe look at Construct 2, because I've never used Construct 2 before. And I know there's still a lot of developers using Construct 2 because of its features that it's got, and it's still free. But that's going to be it for this video. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a like and a comment, and I'll see you in the next video.